Yo, I'm Ced Hawkins. This is a CedTalks Podcast. My guest today, student from Worcester University, returning back to the podcast to make his third appearance. Glad to catch up with them. Glad to have a great conversation with them. And I hope you guys are touched and influenced by it. Right now, here is Zane Carey. Zane, welcome back to the show.
Hey, Ced. Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, this is your third time appearing on the show. When I reached out to you, I think a few weeks ago, I was like, yo, it's going to be a year since we had our first episode. That was a banger, one of my favorites, and I want to bring you back on and catch up.
I'm humbled. A banger.
Yeah, I'm being serious, man. Like, I've done episodes in the past, and I've walked away thinking, man, that was awful. Like, I don't even want to drop it. I don't want to post it. But, like, I look back on the episode we did, and it was great. That was our first one-on-one conversation we had, and everything flowed well. It went great, and I was just like, look, got to have you back on with Gotham. So I brought you two back on in the summer, and I was like, you know what? Let me bring him back on again. It's been a year since we last caught up with that last episode, and I was like, let's just do it again.
Yeah, that was a great podcast, and honestly, from time to time, I just, you need to hear it again. You need to hear the thing. You need to hear where you were mentally, and, just talking to you is a great way to just get stuff off my chest and, tell you where I'm at mentally. And it's not often you get to just sit down with someone and just tell them how it is, 100%. And so I think that first time we had that conversation, it was just, it was meant to be, honestly.
Yeah, we need stuff like that. I feel like we need opportunities to just sit down and not only vent, but just reminisce and think of ways that we can just continue to evolve and enhance ourselves mentally. And that's what I've really learned about this podcast. In the beginning, I never really knew what this purpose was. I just wanted to sit down and talk to people. But now that I have a clear understanding of where I want this direction to go, I'm all for it. I'm all for learning about people, talking about their experiences, talking about my experiences and what I'm going through, because we're still young. We're still going through it. Life ain't all peaches and roses, but, it's all about trying to find that rainbow in the midst of all the rain and the storm.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. I'm just thinking back to our first podcast. It was just, I don't know. So it just clicked, everything was just flowing. Conversation was great. I enjoyed it too. And honestly, I'm glad that I got to meet you through G. I mean, it was, like I keep saying, it was just meant to be, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. It sucks that the pandemic really shut a lot of stuff down, and it's still hard to meet people. But in a way, 2021 was such a blessing for me because I was still able to make friends and make honest connections through the podcast. And you're definitely someone I keep in touch with from time to time. I always reach out to you if I need some help mentally, and you've always provided me with that space to vent and show me that it's okay to have those emotions. And yes, I definitely thank you for that.
Oh, of course. I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions about just being mentally strong is that, you have to put on this facade and act like everything's okay when in reality, everything's not okay. And so, getting through the rough moments or the tough spots that you think you won't ever get out of, that's what makes you who you are. And for me, it's all about reaching out, using those resources when, you can't see the way out. And so, I commend you because, you're very mentally strong, and I can tell that just by the mere fact that you're not afraid to reach out and ask for help. And I think that's what it's all about.
Right. Have you ever viewed the emotion sadness as a weakness? I know for me, it took a while for me to kind of break that down and break that out of my head and say, no, that's not a weakness. Have you always looked at sadness as a weakness?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I think we're kind of forced to think of sadness as a weakness as you grow up. As a child, especially as a male, and that's a whole different conversation. But you're told that crying is a weakness in so many ways. Like your parents will probably, not meaning to intentionally do it, but tell you not to cry because boys don't cry, or whatever. You're watching TV, and you're getting these subliminal messages that man is not supposed to cry, man is not supposed to show emotion, et cetera, et cetera. But I don't really view sadness as a weakness anymore. I don't know. Have you heard of the saying OBJ just he just tore his ACL.
Yep.
And my friends were telling me, excuse my French, but OBJ likes to get shit on. And so, I mean that by OBJ, he doesn't look upon his downfalls as downfalls, right? He takes those moments to really shine and come back stronger. And that's the way I try to look at it. For me, the ACL was never, I didn't let it become a crutch. It was more, all right, this is going to be a new mental battle, but a new mental and physical battle, but I know I'm going to come out stronger in the end. And that's all that matters.
Right, exactly. We'll definitely get into that and touch on that. But, I'm glad that you were able to not view, sadness as a weakness and not view your injury as some type of weakness or form, because life really does give us bad hands, lots of the times, and it's going to beat you down. Like yesterday, I just got done listening to that Rocky speech where he was talking to his son, trying to build him up and encourage him. I listen to that video every few months, when I need it. And it's like, man, it really pumps you up and it really motivates you to just to keep going, Yeah, I think I always looked at sadness as a weakness. Like, I'm not much of a crier. I do get emotional, but I always try to hide it, right? That was something that I always just used to do. Now it's like I own it. If I feel like there's something going on with me mentally, I try to reach out to someone and try to talk to someone. Or if I do feel those emotions coming, I'll give myself the space to kind of go away and go through that process and just get it out of me. Because it's like when you're carrying those emotions, it can really hold you down mentally.
Yeah, it does. And you don't even realize, it's just slowly building up, and it affects your mental. It definitely does.
Yeah. And it's like internally you're suffering, but then, it's manifesting externally, and then your whole entire community becomes affected by it. Not saying that they're affected by it in a negative way, but nobody really wants to see you down and, feeling sad. They want you to know that it's okay to feel that way, but they also want to encourage you and show you just how really great you are.
That's why I love this show. You touched on sorry, I forget what you were saying. You touched on not affirmations, but just kind of
manifesting.
Yeah, manifesting. Yeah. You touched on manifesting. That's what this show's all about. I mean, I'm sure for you probably understand this more than I do, but every time I'm on this show, it's more manifesting the person I know I am, the person I know I can become. It's less. Of course, I get to be real with you, but it's you take the guard down. You really get to expose what's going on and who you want to be, et cetera, et cetera. And that's powerful.
Right. The dreams that you have are real. Like, nothing is impossible. I remember, I'm probably manifesting this now. I had a dream a few weeks ago where I was counseling a married couple. They were having issues, and I was counseling them, and I can remember the entire conversation, where the environment was at, what was going on. And then I woke up from the dream and I was like, goodness, like, is that me? Is that what I'm going to be doing? Like, I have no idea. So I just wrote it down. I just wrote down counselor. I used to write question marks near the things that I was trying to manifest. I mean, question marks. Yeah, I said question marks. I think I did. I don't know. But I used to write question marks beside the things that I wanted to manifest, the things that I wanted to make happen. But now I just leave it there, because if I'm dreaming it, then that is a part of me. It's just a matter of what do I need to do to get to that point. I think that's the difficult part, because we can see what we want to achieve in the future, but it's just getting there, achieving those steps, climbing that mountain. I think that's the most difficult part.
Wow. So you write down your dreams.
Yeah.
Every single one.
Yeah. If I can turn my camera right here. Yeah. It's like sticky notes. And this is like where I do my work and stuff. And this is everything that I want to accomplish and achieve by a certain point.
That's awesome. Sorry, I'm talking about literal dreams. So like your counselor dream, for example.
Oh, yeah.
You wrote that down as well.
Yeah, I wrote that down as well. I wrote that down in my notebook. I have a notebook where I like to write, different things, like to write what my life would like to be like. Or let's say, for example, I'm living in that moment right now. I just write down, hey, I'm so thankful that I'm living in this beautiful house, or I'm thankful that I'm driving my dream car, or I'm thankful for this job that I have. It brings me so much joy to be able to impact the lives of different people. And I just try to write if I'm living in that like present tense. And one of my friends, Jordan Green, he was on the show a few times. I definitely send you a link to his YouTube channel and stuff and have you listen to him. He taught me how to do that, because pretty much his life, he's pretty much on YouTube, dropped out of college, dropped out of school and all that stuff, and became a YouTuber full time. And now he's living his dream, living his life. So that's what I've been doing, just writing down things that I'd like to achieve and doing that.
That's fantastic. Affirmations and manifesting what you want. Those are all, great things that no one can really take from you. I used to have this habit where I listened to affirmations every day in the morning. I would get up, first thing I would do, drink water and meditate. And then I'm listening to this YouTube, I'd listen to the same video every morning. And after about a month of doing that, I felt like Superman.
Exactly.
I felt like Superman. There's this one moment, I was over at a friend's house. He had a couple friends over. We were playing FIFA. And one of the friends I made there said this comment about me that I don't think I'll ever forget. He was just talking. He wasn't talking to anyone in general. He was just, talking out loud. And he said something along the lines of, Zane has this unwavering confidence about him. And, now I look back on that time as like a time where I was really not just confident, but I just knew who I was. Right. And I keep reiterating the same statement. That's, there's certain things that people just can't take from you. And once you learn to embellish in them and to really appreciate them for what they are, you begin to appreciate yourself for who you are. And so that was a period of time in my life where I was just appreciating me. Right. And so one of the bad habits I have is, I mentioned looking back on that period of time. Sometimes you want to chase that moment. You want to get back to where you were, but then that takes you out of the present. And there's another. Do you listen to Seek Discomfort at all?
No, I haven't. No.
Have you watched that YouTube channel at all?
I gotta write that down. Seek to Discomfort.
Seek Discomfort. Yeah, it's a YouTube channel on YouTube, and I love their channel. I mean, they're a group of four or five guys, and their motto is literally seek discomfort. Their goal in life is to become mentally and physically stronger just by going through what makes them uncomfortable in the moment. And so, I mean, they take all the barriers down, all the guards down. They're literally just looking to get the most out of life by exposing their weaknesses and making them into strengths. And that is, I mean, it's awesome. The channel is just amazing. And so one of them was talking about his meditation journey. He meditated every day for, I think, a year or so. And he said he got to a point in his meditation where he was kind of chasing the first time he meditated, because the first time he meditated was so good, almost like a drug. Like a drug. He said the first time he meditated, he felt so amazing, felt so powerful, that for the weeks and months to come, he felt like he was just chasing that initial meditation, that initial feeling. And that's dangerous, because you don't realize what you're doing. Mm-hmm. You don't realize in the moment that, hey, I'm not living in the moment. I'm chasing, a past feeling, a past emotion. And so I'm getting long-winded here, but I think it took me a moment to realize, wait, I'm chasing a past version of Zane instead of, why does this word keep escaping me? Instead of manifesting the future version of myself. So
yeah, dude, I'm glad you touched on that, because that's beautiful. At times we'll do that subconsciously and we don't realize it. We're trying to chase that version of ourselves that's from the past. Like, I'm going through it right now. I left my old job in November and I started a new job. I'm a before and after care teacher at an elementary school here in the county.
Nice.
And I love the job. I feel like it's opening up new opportunities for me, and I love the staff that I work with. But subconsciously, my head is still in that old job, and I'm so focused on that old job at times. And it's just like, why can't I just get out of the past and focus on the present? And it's just like I haven't fully, healed and why I had left and why I am in this new position now, and I have to find a way to let that go and step into, my new shoes where I'm at now currently. And it's definitely tough, but talking about it definitely does help. I think reading the different goodbye messages that I got from everybody, because I haven't opened every single one of them, because I knew if I did, it would make me emotional. And it just goes back to embracing those emotions, embracing the discomfort, because it's healthy. Right. I feel like once I start doing that, I'll be able to let that go. But it's something that I feel like we'll go through for life. Being in a present moment, trying to chase a past version of ourselves. But you have to stay present and you have to be mindful of where you're at. That's something that Godham's always taught me. Just trying to be present. It's definitely difficult and hard, but it's something that can be done. But I'm gonna definitely check out that channel though. Speak Discomfort. Yeah, I'm gonna definitely look at that.
It's a great channel. You know what's, not to put G on the spot, but you know what? We were having a conversation one day, and I was talking to him about meditation and how it's, pretty much changed my life for the past couple of years. And he just, he told me he couldn't meditate, and, he just has trouble doing it. And for someone that is so present, or seems so present, it just took me by surprise. And I don't really know where I'm going with this, but I don't know. I think meditation is a tool that everyone should have in their toolbox.
I agree.
It's a must.
Yeah. I try to meditate in the middle of the day. Sometimes it's hard towards the end of the day because my mind is still sort of racing. Lately, I've been listening to sermons at night, and that's been helping me go to sleep easier and meditate. But It's like in the middle of the day, I listen to a meditation session, whether it's by Jay Shetty. He has his own podcast.
I love Jay Shetty.
Yes, he has his own podcast, so I'll meditate listening to that. And then it really helps ground me, and it helps soothe my mind before I have to go back to work in the afternoon. And I try to meditate at least once a day. It's like if I don't do it, if I can't have that quiet time for at least 30 minutes, it's like my mind is just gone. It's shaked and I can't focus again.
Yeah, it feels like your mind's racing. and it, you're clogging your mental space. You don't even realize it until you just sit down and you just don't think about anything.
Yeah. So meditation is something that you still do today?
Yeah, I try to do it every morning. I usually do it for 15 minutes in the morning.
Got you.
After that, I'm either ready for the day, like ready to go, or I want to sit down and meditate for like hours. Mm-hmm. And I say that because I realize, mentally, maybe I'm not where I should be or where I want to be.
Right.
And so I don't care how long it takes. I'll sit down and do whatever I have to just to get mentally right.
Right. Yeah. I actually meditated before we did this. I think I meditated for like 30 minutes, and then that turned into a nap. And then I was just like, all right, let me try to ground my mind like one more time before I call this man. Just because sometimes I get in my head with these podcasts and stuff, and it's just like, what am I going to do? Like, what if I say something wrong, or if there's like just this awkward pause and silence? But usually I always turn out and do pretty well with these things. But yeah, I meditated before I did this.
Nice. Yeah, meditation is a great way to focus. Great way.
Yeah, I think I'm going to actually listen to that Rocky video every day. I think every morning when I wake up, I'm going to listen to it. That's going to be my goal for the month of March, to go through the whole month listening to that.
Nice. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, I don't know. Listening to it just did something to me last night. It was like when I was done, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go work out right now.
Yeah, man. That's what I like to hear.
Yeah. Jay Shetty actually did something. He was talking about like holding on to your vision. That was like the topic for the meditation session. And he was talking about Sylvester Stallone and how when he started off acting, he pretty much had nothing, had no money, was broke, homeless at times. And he saw this fight between Muhammad Ali. I can't remember the other guy, but he went home and he wrote the whole script for Rocky. And he was selling it to these different filmmakers. And the filmmakers, they wanted to give him only $125,000 for the script, and that was it. But he said, no, I want to be casted in this movie, and I want more. So even though him and these filmmakers were like contrasting over this, eventually he ended up convincing the filmmakers to cast him as the lead in the movie, and then boom, he became an instant success and a classic. But pretty much the message of the story was if he had sold his script to those filmmakers and taken that $125,000, who knows where his life would have been if he would have kind of sold out in a way to do that. And I don't know, listening to that meditation session really taught me to hold on to whatever my vision is in life and what I want to achieve, whether that's career-wise or what I do on the side, like the podcast or writing books. And it just really taught me to continue to hold on to my vision. Do you have any visions that you like to achieve that you're currently working towards?
Oh, man, so many. I think it's a great question, but I don't know what it is. For me, sometimes it's harder to vocalize exactly what my visions are, just because I think I'm I like to think I'm so in tune with the moment, so I don't know, like they're so drilled into my head that I don't even realize. Like I continue to just, I don't know, seek this version of myself that I've created in my head, that continues to evolve. And it's harder to vocalize what exactly those things are because, like I said, that version of myself continues to evolve. And that's one of my mottos. One of my mottos is just to be the best version of yourself. And you can't put that motto in a box. It means so many different things, right? So to sit here and tell you that of course I have certain visions now that I want to achieve as a 20-year-old. But in, 1 or 2 years, those things are going to change.
Exactly.
Those things are continue to evolving. And that's one mindset I'm eternally grateful for. And I think it's something I picked up from my dad. Dude's amazing. He's always, seeking to, improve, and he's never stops. His mind is always racing, but always racing to improve, which I think is so fascinating. And it's something that I was able to adopt. So I think my vision, just coming full circle here, back to the, something I want to achieve. As of right now, I think my biggest goal is to create my own startup. I've always had this dream of getting a bunch of high school friends, college friends that I've met along the way on my CS journey, and just creating something real, and pitching it to venture capitalists, trying to get some real investments going, and just creating something cool like an app or a website or just some kind of crazy concept. And so that's definitely one of my biggest dreams right now.
Wow, that's awesome. That's definitely awesome. Do you write down your visions or like goals and stuff for anything that you want to achieve?
So 2022, I did write down a bunch of different things, kind of as resolutions. I don't know if I firmly believe in resolutions, but I do believe in a fresh start. And so a new year is definitely, a good time to, start on a clean slate. And so I did write down a couple of them, but like I said before, I don't know, some of these things have been in my head for years.
Yeah, it's weird because I was writing down a lot of the things I wanted to accomplish, I think starting in 2020. Then, of course, I moved into 2021. Now this year, I haven't done it yet. I don't know why. I haven't written them down yet.
Right.
It's like, it's so weird. To me, it's so weird because I could honestly do it when we're done talking right now, but who knows where my head is going to be at once this is over with. I could probably say, you know what, I feel so inspired, I'm going for a run, or I'm going to work out, and then it's just going to slip my mind again. But it's something that I really need to get, serious about, because I know last year, looking at the things I wanted to achieve by December 31st, 2021, I think that really drove me to really achieve those things. And when I was able to check those things off the list as the year went on, it was really validating and rewarding. It showed me that, this stuff isn't make-believe. If you really work hard for it, you can achieve it.
Right. I think another really big misconception is that you need a New Year's resolution for a clean start, for a clean slate. Every day is a new slate. Every day you start over. I think that's one of the things I hold on to. Like, so what, I made a mistake. So what, today wasn't the way I envisioned it to be. That's a chance for tomorrow to make it what I want. And that's what it's all about.
Yeah. I'm glad you touched on that you don't have to start over within the new year, or you don't
need a new year.
Yeah. Or you don't have to wait until next week or next month to start fresh.
Right.
Like if it's in your mind, just do it now.
Yes. Just do it.
It's easier said than done, but it can be done. It's possible.
Yes, exactly.
Going back to, I'm trying to think. We were talking about it earlier. I think it was forgetting who you are in the present and going back to your past life. If you could offer any type of advice, in what ways do you think it's possible to sort of get out of that mindset and just really remember who you are, remember your attributes and who you are? Of course, I know you and we're a year apart, so it's something I'm still working on. I know it's something you're still working on, but if you can, in what ways do you think you can break out of that mindset?
I think you can take the feeling of the past. So the feeling that we're talking about where you attribute this great feeling, or this you recall this great mindset that you were in, right, in the past. And you think, wow, if only I was there now. right? Like, right. So you're subliminally sending messages to yourself that are, are altering. I'm getting a bit long-winded here. You stumped me. It's a good question.
It really is a good question.
I think that you can take the past, you can take the examples of what you've done and what you've achieved in the past, and you can manifest it into what you're doing now, right? So if you did X, Y, and Z in the past, that's only an example of what your potential truly is, right? So it's very easy to get caught up in what you did in the past and what you hoped to do now. But I think overall you can take the little goals, the little momentum that you created on the way to where you are now, to really manifest what you want, and not to to reflect upon the past, but to really manifest what you want to do in the future.
Right. And I think another way also is to really look at where you were then, how you evolve now, and just really see how much you have grown. Don't try to look at the past as a negative and think, oh, well, if I was in this moment, X amount of months ago or X amount of years ago, I'd be happy or I'd be complete. And really, I think what I've been trying to teach myself, and it's difficult, easier said than done, but I try to teach myself that look at how much I've evolved. Look how much I've grown and changed in this amount of time. And just think to where I'm going to be at in the future if I just continue to stay consistent and just continue to stay encouraged. That's one way that I look at it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, that's something I continue to reiterate on is I just want to continue evolving. You're not gonna catch me stagnant. No, sir.
It's the worst feeling in the world, feeling stagnant. That's how I used to feel at my old job. I just felt really stagnant. Felt like there was no way out. Now it's like I feel better having this new job, but it's like, dang, it's those moments where it felt good. It was like a drug. Like it really felt good those good days, but those bad days, it was awful. It was down bad. And now that I'm here, it feels good. And I'm able to reflect and say like, wow, I made it. I didn't think I'd make it, but I made it. And
right.
If I'm able to really, truly be present in this moment, I'll be more appreciative of it.
Yeah. So, I mean, answering your last question again, reflect on how far you've come, reflect on how you've evolved. And really, I think it's just about appreciating the moment where you are now and realizing that you can always recreate the momentum that you had in the past, if not tenfold. Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Talk to me about your ACL injury, the surgery that you got. What went on during that entire process?
So I tore my ACL in, I think, late November. And I don't know what's been going on exactly, but last season I had a couple of injuries. And I've never really thought of myself as injury prone. I still don't. I think for me it was more mental. I think there were a couple complications with my coach during the season. And I wasn't getting the playing time I wanted to. So I had to kind of evolve into this guy that wasn't playing for a coach or a team, but playing for myself. And that's a weird place to be in. You don't really know where you're going to get out of it because you're just playing for yourself. I was happy. I was, playing, the way I thought I should. But again, those results weren't really getting recognized. So subliminally, I guess what I'm getting at is I was continuing to tell myself that, where I wasn't worth it. And I wasn't getting the recognition I deserved. So given that mental part of the journey, I think that's where my injury stemmed from. Because even if you think you're 100% in it, if you're not getting your efforts aren't getting recognized the way you think they should, then you're already putting a filter on your entire mentality toward the game. And I think that's where it's taken me a long time to realize that. But I think that's what really it was about. Before my ACL injury, I had 2 or 3 other injuries that had me out for like almost 1 to 2 weeks. I had teammates coming up to me like, dude, like, why are you always injured? Like, what's going on? I've never had that many injuries ever. Anyway. So, I tore my ACL in November, got a MRI 1 or 2 weeks later. They were like, yeah, you tore your ACL and your meniscus. I was like, okay, cool. The good thing was that it was toward the end of the season, so I really wasn't missing anything. But my family had, travel plans toward December and early January, so I had to put off my surgery until we got back. I got surgery on the 20th of January. Don't think I'll ever forget that date. very interesting experience. My first surgery ever. I went into it with a positive mindset, and I still have that positive mindset. I know it's not going to take me. I think it's going to take me about a year to really fully recover and get all my strength back. But again, I'm afraid for these guys, because when I come back, I'm not going to be messing around.
You about to be different.
I'm not going to be messing around. And so, yeah, it's going to be a little tough missing my senior year. But again, I think this happened to me for a reason. I think God knows I wasn't supposed to be put on this team. God knows my efforts are going to be recognized elsewhere. And that's what it's about. It's about evolving into the next version of Zane on the soccer field. And I feel bad for these guys, because I'm not coming back. I'm not coming back slow. I'm not coming back. I'm coming back the best version possible.
Right. Dude.
And that's what this year break is about, because I have time to reflect on where I need to improve and how. And that's all that matters.
That's amazing that you have such a positive mindset and a positive attitude towards this rehabilitation process of where you're going and how you're going to go about things in the future, because it's so easy to get discouraged and have such a negative mindset when you're taken down by such an injury as brutal as an ACL and MCL. Like, you tore both things in your knee, but the fact that you're so positive about it and you have so much confidence, like, I see it off you. It's radiating. Like, you, like, wow. I'm serious. You know what you're going, what you're going to do, and you have a vision for what you're going to do it. And I just think that's so incredible, because a lot of people go south with injuries like this, and it takes them off the deep end, and they're not the same.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and lie and say, a couple moments of doubt didn't happen. I mean, there were moments where my mom didn't even believe I was going to come back, and that's hard to hear. Hard to hear that your loved one doesn't believe in you. Well, yeah, pretty much that's what happened. But again, it's just I can't stay stagnant. I'm always evolving. So, yeah, I appreciate that. And I think it's funny. You can read my energy over FaceTime.
Exactly. It's weird. It's weird how I'm like that. I can feel people's energies and stuff like that whenever I'm near them. If I can see that somebody's having good energy, good spirits, it's like, all right, good. The vibe is good. The connection is great. If I see that something's off, I'll try to pull that out of that person and see what's going on. But I don't know. If it's a continued, if their spirit isn't great mentally, I don't know, it affects me. Like, if somebody's spirit is bad, that's gonna affect me. And It's tough, because sometimes I have to distance myself from people like that, because it affects me, and I don't like having that affect me, having that bad spirit on me.
Yeah, it's interesting you bring that up. I was watching a couple of YouTube videos of just people that have sustained ACL injuries and how they got over it. And I think the most popular videos I found were just of, these soccer athletes that have, gone through ACL injuries. And they were like, man, I was depressed. Like, I was at a really deep point in my life, really scary point. Even a friend I reached out to said the same thing. Like, he was really depressed, really down. And I was just, I don't know, I was more shocked by that. I was like, I mean, it's easy to understand. I understand where they're coming from. But for me, it was like I had to take a step back and realize, whoa, that's not the energy that I need. That's not the energy. That's not how I'm feeling now. So why would I feel like that ever? Right. So, yeah, it's all about reading energy and making sure that the energy that you're taking in isn't affecting who you really are. So I agree. That's a good point.
Right. Just a follow-up question for that. Would you say that your positive energy is also because you have other things that you're doing also to take your mind and keep your mind occupied, not always focus about the injury?
Yeah. I think part of it is definitely that. I have a great support system. My family's awesome, even though, there's some moments of doubt. I think I probably get the most energy from my brothers. These guys just don't stop. They're beasts. They're beasts. I mean, I like to think I set the threshold for a beast, but these guys, I mean, they just are crazy. My little brother's playing lacrosse and soccer, and it's really cool watching him turn into the athlete that he is today. I mean, he's got high school offers from a bunch of really good private schools for lacrosse and doing great things. My other brother's still in Spain playing soccer, kicking butt out there. So I don't know, it's just mentality that we all have, and I'm not going to let it go because of one small ACL injury. You got to be kidding me.
Right, right.
You know.
Yeah, that's good that you get that motivation, that energy from your brothers. I know with me, when I still grieve, I still go through the grieving process, but it's not as bad as it was, I'd say, a year ago, where I was like really struggling with it. But I'll say one of the things that really kept me going was my grandfathers. Seeing them work, just not stop. I mean, and of course, they're way older than me and they've experienced loss and they know how it is. But I don't know, just seeing them continue to keep going and not just drop everything really gave me that resilience inside to keep going and keep working towards what I was working towards, which is, of course, getting my degree and, graduating and starting my career. And, of course, the podcast and other side stuff. But I didn't want to get too depressed and too far off to where I just completely lost who I was. And I got that motivation from my grandfathers. Of course, I'll give praise to God. God was there and he helped me get through that period. But yeah, looking at other people, seeing them not give up, seeing them not quit, listening to different celebrities give interviews about their loss and how they persevered really encouraged me.
Right. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that goes back to your point about energy. You got to be careful what you really let affect you. So I definitely understand that.
Yeah, absolutely. You were talking about earlier complications you were having with your coach, feeling unrecognized, feeling not seen. Dude, that's like the worst feeling in the world. When you know that you're good and you know that you're qualified and you deserve to be seen. You deserve to have your talent showcased, but you feel like other people aren't noticing that, aren't seeing that. And you mentioned how you had to really dig down deep to find that within yourself to keep going. How difficult was that for you?
Yeah, it's an ongoing battle, even to this day. But I think I finally broke the threshold. I finally broke through mentally when I realized I can't rely on my coach for the satisfaction that I want out of this game. I love the game. I've always had a passion for the game. I'm not going to let him take that from me. And so that's what I continue to fall back on. And once you found something you love, like I said before, no one can take that from you.
Right. I think that's something that we have to carry with us in life also, is that we can't rely on people to really keep us going and keep us encouraged. And deep down inside, we have to have that discipline from within to keep going. And it's really tough and it's really hard. I mean, just to kind of go back to my grieving process, it was tough, feeling like I could kind of rely and depend on people to make me feel good, but I ended up feeling disappointed in the end. And of course, people have lives. They can't always tend to me, but it was in those moments when I was down bad. Like I was texting you and got him, you and G at points when I was feeling down, but it just got to a point where I realized, I got to pick myself up and I have to live for myself. I can't live for anybody else. I have to do it for me.
Amen. I have to live for myself. That's a great saying.
Yeah, just like you had to play for yourself. You couldn't do it for your coach, even if your coach wasn't going to really encourage you and motivate you like he should have. Coaches should do that. But, I mean, that's cool that you were able to kind of break out of that and learn from that.
Thanks. Yeah, I appreciate that. I think it was hard to do. And like I said before, it's an ongoing battle. But, it takes some discipline.
Yeah. So what's your schedule looking like now as far as rehab, as far as your classwork? How do you achieve that balance?
So as far as rehab, I'm lucky to have a physical therapist on campus. And, the trainer's room is somewhere I can go whenever. So I'm not really on a tight schedule per se. It's more whenever it allows in my schedule. So like, for example, tomorrow, I don't really have class in the morning, so I'll probably head over to the trainer's room, as soon as I can and get as much PT done as possible. Usually I'm there for like an hour and a half or so. And then, the rest of my class schedule takes over from there. But it's every day for me.
That's good. That you're still being able to juggle everything and take care of yourself mentally.
Right.
Yeah. Oh no, go ahead.
It's just like practice. I mean, I got to get the strength back somehow. So every day it is,
Yeah, exactly. This is usually the first question I usually ask my guests who are on the show, but we were just having a straight up conversation in the beginning. But
we're just getting to the beginning.
Exactly. So yeah, exactly. I think we got almost 40 minutes in. Now we're getting to the beginning.
Fantastic.
Exactly. But overall, how would you say your mental health is? Matter of fact, you said it was pretty good now, but I guess I can rephrase that. From your mental health now, February 2022, to where it was at in February 2021. How do you compare the two?
Oh, that's a good question. We kind of iterated on this before. Last year, I was at a point where I was finally discovering who I really was, and that was through the tools that I mentioned everyone should have, which is meditation, affirmations, etc., etc. But it's hard. It's challenging, man, because sometimes I look back on it as, man, I was really in the groove, really discovering who I am. But now I know who I am. Now I can take the momentum that I've accumulated and run with it. So mentally, I'm still in a good spot. But there are a lot of days where I look back on the meditations that I had in the past and wish I could kind of recreate the same kind of energy. But now, like I said before, it's a different kind of energy, and I just have to learn to appreciate that.
Yeah. Wow, I'm glad you touched on that. Getting comfortable and appreciating the new energy, right?
Yeah.
And it goes back to feeling uncomfortable and feeling that discomfort. It's uncomfortable, but getting in touch with that new energy that you're not so familiar with and getting adjusted and comfortable with it will make you finally comfortable with it. And then you got to find something that'll make you uncomfortable, or something will come up, unexpectedly, that will make you uncomfortable. And it's just going through that process all over again.
Yeah, one of the things I've realized through meditation is life is a balance. And I've been talking to my friends recently a lot. There have been a couple suicides on campus, unfortunately, within the last year or so. And it's really taken a toll on everyone on campus. Mentally, you can just tell the energy on campus is just off. Like something is just not right. But I'm a little hesitant to talk about the kids on my campus, but I think where the depression and, the lack of happiness comes from is a lack of balance. And of course, I'm speaking from a third perspective. I'm very biased. I've never dealt with depression. But I think everyone needs a balance of work and play. And that's really what it comes down to, because you have to work as hard as you play. And if you're not giving yourself the right amount of, there's no time in your schedule for recreation. You have to stimulate the mind with something other than just homework. Like, come on, you know? So I forget what I was answering, but I hope that answered the question.
No, we were honestly just having a conversation, honestly, about it.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that's
balance.
Yeah, I think that's true. A balance, I think depression's what I've gone through. Of course, I don't identify with that. It's just something that I just go through when I feel down or low. And I'll say this is like the first winter where I felt like really good about myself mentally. Of course, I still have my moments and stuff. And like a few weeks ago, we were going to do this on a Friday, but my mind wasn't right mentally. And I knew if I went into the podcast not feeling right, the energy wouldn't be the same. And I wouldn't be as invested in the conversation, which would have made things feel bad, in my opinion, than I would have been really in my head about the whole thing. But that was when I knew in that moment that I got to take this night out for myself. I got to do the things that I like to do and recharge and refocus so I can do this podcast, right? Because the podcast is important to me, but I can't do this podcast if I'm not right mentally and if I'm not achieving that balance in a positive way.
Right, and being strong is the ability to take a step back and realize, wait, I'm not in the right mental space right now. Let me just, get back to what I know to ensure that I'm in the right mental space when this needs to happen. So again, I commend you for that. That's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, I finally know how to achieve that balance. And I'm glad it's something that I found now versus finding it when I'm older, in my late 20s or 30s. Like I'm definitely blessed to know how to achieve that balance between working on my schoolwork. Of course, I got to work, knowing when to work, but also knowing when to give my time rest and knowing when to give myself some enjoyment, do things that I like to do, like doing my podcast or, hanging out with friends and stuff.
Yeah, that's the balance is where it all stems from. That's what it's about.
Yeah, exactly. Who, with the exception of, your family, I know you look up to your brothers and your father a lot, but who are other influences? I mean, let's say celebrities, not that you put on a pedestal, but that you look up to that really help keep you encouraged.
So within the last year, Will Smith and Jay Shetty have been two really big ones.
Yo, did you listen to that podcast they did a while back?
A while ago, yeah. It's a really great podcast, yeah. Will Smith talks a lot about the misconception around mistakes, and how he grew up thinking that mistakes were a weakness and that emotions were a weakness, and then he finally grew to the point where he realized you have to relish in mistakes, and he thinks it's a mistake. It's a mistake. He thinks that you should take your mistakes and run with them instead of trying to hide them and try to cast them to the side or whatever. You got to learn from them. So now I encourage myself to fail. I think the better you get at failing, the better you will be at life, and that's a skill that took me a while to grow into. But again, Jay Shetty and Will Smith have really helped me kind of refine and go over that.
Yeah, I think I've listened to that interview 3 or 4 times because I remember the first.
I've listened to it at least twice.
Yeah, because the first time I listened to it, it was good, but I didn't really get it and understand it. The second time I listened to it, it's like, okay, these things are making a lot of sense. And now that I listen to it the third time, it's like, all right, now I'm fully understanding it. Now I think I can apply these principles that they're talking about, try to apply it to my life, and in return try to manifest that into the atmosphere and then share it with everybody on the podcast.
Yeah, they talk about a lot, and sometimes it goes over your head. But I love to re-listen to. You know what else I've been listening to recently? What's his name? Hold on, I have his thing up right here. He's a UFC guy, Joe Rogan. So I've been listening to a lot of Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan, yep.
He has this one podcast with I'm forgetting all these guys' names. His name is Neville. Starts with an N. I forget what it's called. It'll come back to me. But they talk about a lot of mental growth, and things that you and I are talking, spirituality, et cetera, et cetera. And I find myself re-listening to it all the time. And it's I'm not looking for things I understand. I'm looking for things I don't understand. I'm looking for things that I can take and apply to my nutshell of a life, because they're talking big picture. They're talking about things they've already experienced and gone through. And I'm a 20-year-old kid. I can't relate to a lot of things they're saying. So re-listening has been a great tool for me as well.
Right, exactly. I'm 20. I'm 21 also, and I'm still trying to learn, trying to achieve the balance called life, and not always get so angry and upset and have this chip on my shoulder feeling like I need to prove something to everybody or anybody. I used to feel that way. I went through that period in high school. Even when I was at CSM, it felt like I had to prove something to somebody. Now I don't have that chip on my shoulder anymore. I'm more confident and sure of myself, and I know that opportunities will come to me through my hard work and my persistence and continuing to be resilient. So it's like as that chip has gotten smaller and smaller, and now that it's gone, life has gotten better, or more manageable. I don't know. I can't say that life is better. You know what? I'll say it. Life is better. Let me be positive. I'm gonna sit here and be positive. Yeah, well, life gets better when you become less resistant to change and you begin to embrace who you are, embrace those failures that you've made, like Will Smith said. And it's hard. It's difficult to look in the mirror and say, I messed up today, right? But it takes strength to do that.
I've been so you touched on, you said looking in the mirror and saying, I messed up today. The only reason we think that way is because we're raised to think that mistakes are bad.
Exactly.
I think that's so evil. I think everyone needs to retrain themselves to think about mistakes in a positive light, because really mistakes are just showing you how to succeed, and that's all it's about.
No, I agree. I work with kids all the time, and just recently I've been working with them and just saying, hey, if you had a bad day or if you've messed up, it's okay. Tomorrow is a new day, and it's a new start for you to do something different, because it's tough. It's tough on them. I know with me being an adult, which is weird, because I'm an adult now and they're kids. Yeah. So now I have to act like an adult, right? Yeah. And
what does that mean, by the way? Act like an adult.
Exactly. I have no idea what that means. I got to be the mature one. I'll say that. I can't be petty when I want to be petty with them. But it's just you expect you expect more out of them, right? As I'm improving myself behind the scenes, right? I have, I guess, expectations of what I think I want them to be. But I have to let go of those expectations and realize that they're young and their minds are still forming themselves, right? They're 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. You know, they're young. They're not where I'm at. So I can't look at them and be like, well, why didn't you do this? You shouldn't have done that. And I just have to be like, okay, you made a mistake. That's fine. What can we do different to, resolve that?
Right. Right. Yeah, that's important. Looking over, analyzing your mistakes, and figuring out where you went wrong, so the next time you don't go wrong.
Yeah, and
that's all you're looking for.
Yeah, and it's okay to make. I don't know. Do you feel like it's okay to make the same mistake?
I think if you really sit down and analyze where you went wrong, then you shouldn't be making the same mistakes. But sometimes it takes a minute to just analyze your mistakes and really understand where you went wrong. Maybe it was a couple places you went wrong, not just one.
Right. I think it's patience, being patient with yourself if you feel like you're in the same place. And like you said, taking that time to really examine yourself. There's a spot, Lower Marlboro, I think it's Lower Marlboro Pier here in Calvert. And I go there sometimes. I just look at the water and just really reflect. I can't go outside like I used to because it's so cold and I don't like the cold. So I just sit in my car with the heat on and I just look straight. And I just think to myself, like, where am I at? Well, what can I do differently? Am I doing what's right? Is what I'm doing something that I should stick with? Should I change it? And that's just me overthinking it. But I don't know, just being introspective, taking that time out to really be introspective and look at where your life is at and see what can change and what can be different. I feel like that's really good.
Yeah, it can be good. I think you should be careful though. Like, it's a balance between not overthinking, which again, overthinking is such a loose term. So I'll say, you should think to the point where you're ready to make steps toward action. So don't overthink to the point where you're afraid to do something. But, think to a healthy point where, like you said, you're analyzing your mistakes and you're ready to make action. And I think you have to be okay with letting yourself fail. So that, again, comes with patience. But I think that's important.
Yeah, you mentioned God earlier during this conversation. You mentioned God earlier. Do you see yourself as a deeply religious person? Is prayer, talking to the Lord, having a relationship with them, is that part of your life, or are you not that deep into it?
So I think I'm very much more spiritual than religious. Okay. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I'm able to. It's weird. I don't really know how to explain it. I have this almost like an undying faith, an undying gratefulness that I attribute to several things, like my family, to life, just in general. And, so I'm trying to make a connection here between my spiritualness and God, which it's hard to kind of put my finger on it. But
right.
I think within since my meditation journey, it's really kind of been a spiritual journey where I've just become grateful for things I didn't realize in the past. And so I'm thanking God for that, if that makes sense.
No, it definitely makes sense. Yeah. My spiritual development journey, I think came in 2019, 2020. But I feel like now I've really been more religious and I've really been having more of a relationship with God, whether it's reading scripture, reading the Bible, or listening to more sermons to get some encouragement and motivation. I feel like I have a spiritual, I'm very spiritual, deeply spiritual, but now I'm also more religious and I'm more in tune with my Christianity and my faith in that sense.
Yeah, my spiritualness has been a gift for me because I've been able to, just get in touch with several things, not just God, but, myself. Oh, wait a second. Get in touch with myself, which helped me get in touch with God.
Yes.
Yes.
Because I think it's also important to know yourself first and know who you are.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it's so I don't want to say strange, but it's like it's beautiful, and I feel like you said, I think that's where the depression comes from, because people don't know who they are, and they feel like this is where I'm always going to be for life, and that there's no way out. And I think if people really get in touch with their spiritual side, because we all have a spiritual side to us, I believe people really put aside time to get away from the social media, put aside short-term gratification, really sit down, with their thoughts and really get in touch with who they are, it can really save them.
Yeah, I mean, becoming real with yourself and what you really want out of life is hard. It's harder said than done. I'm still going through that battle. It's an everyday ongoing battle, but
yes.
It's take it one day at a time, one step at a time.
Yeah, exactly. The last podcast we did, we talked about social media and achieving that balance with it. Where would you say you're at with social media now?
So within the last year, I realized that I don't remember if I mentioned this before, but I was just deleting social media off my phone. So I was on a detox for a while. But then there's, some days where I'd re-download it and I would realize that I had no balance. So on the days that I re-downloaded them, it was pretty much all I did. No, I'm not going to say all I did, but I became less able to control myself when I had it on my phone.
Yeah.
So it was, I had to take a step back and analyze, well, wait a second. Am I really deleting them for the right reasons? Am I deleting them because, I think they're bad, or is it because I can't control myself? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Is this a habit that is spiraled out of control? So now I kind of look at them differently. Now I look at it as I still have the same negative connotation around them. I know how bad they can be for you, but it's more now becoming, it's learning how to manage them, which is learning how to manage myself and my own habits. So I use it more as a habit controller, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, it definitely makes sense. I know with me, I think I might go on another detox. Like, that's the plan for me, just because sometimes I feel like if I'm on it too much, I feel like I'm not really progressing and advancing, and I'm just sort of doing the same thing over and over again out of boredom. So part of me has been thinking of going on that detox again, but there's also that part of me that feels like, I feel like I can't achieve that balance where, let's say I'm off of it for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, maybe a month. I've never been off of it for a month, but let's say I do that balance and then I can get back on it and we'll see where my head is at. I don't think I can fully get off of it just because I have this podcast and there are people that I want to reach out to have on the show, right? So it's a tough balance, but I feel like I'm in that sense of, if it's really giving you mental problems, then, get off of it and try to reground and focus yourself.
Sure, yeah, if that's what's needed. I mean, a detox, never really go wrong with the social media detox.
Yeah.
It makes you more in touch with just life in general.
Exactly. More in touch with yourself. I never did TikTok. Never did TikTok.
Yeah, that's a challenge. I don't have TikTok now, but I mean, when I'm at home and I'm not in school, I'll re-download it just because it's just such a fun app. It's so much fun to have on the app. But that one's a bit more dangerous. I think the algorithm on TikTok is fueled for disaster. And there are a lot of people that don't know how to control that. That it's like a drug. They don't know how to control it. And so, sometimes a detox is necessary.
Yeah, exactly. It's always good to, reground yourself and focus on your priorities. Make sure you're in touch with where you're at in life and where you want to go.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Overall, man, when you look at this year, 2022, we just started it. I feel like it's going to go by so fast. But when you think of this year, what are some of the things that you would like to accomplish for yourself before the year is over with?
Man, so Web 3.0, NFTs have been huge. The metaverse is huge. It's been around for a while, but all of a sudden it's starting to blow up. And so I'm sure anyone listening, knows these couple of keywords: NFTs, metaverse, meta, et cetera, et cetera. I think there's a lot of money to be made if you know what you're doing and, you have the right resources. So my biggest challenge this year is just to profit some way, somehow off of the metaverse. And there are a lot of different things, a lot of different opportunities that Web 3.0 is presenting. But I think right now I'm going to try and get into the digital real estate market, which will be really interesting, really cool. Something I don't know a lot about, but I'm like I said, I'm willing to let myself fail and just figure out along the way, because I know some way, somehow, I'm gonna figure it out. So
that's good. That's really good. To know that you have a certain sense of an idea of where you want to go and what you want to do.
Yeah.
I didn't ask you this earlier, but now it came to mind, so I'm gonna just go ahead and ask you it.
Yeah, go ahead.
What are your thoughts on therapy? People seeking help for their mental health and just talking to somebody if they feel like they can't talk to anybody within their circle. What's your thought on that?
So I'm going to start off by saying I've personally never had a therapist.
Okay.
I'd like to say that my therapists are probably my mom and dad. They give me the most clarity. Of course, that's biased clarity, but still, it's clarity.
Right.
No, I don't have anything against therapists. I think if you're at a point in your life where you need to talk to someone to figure out, what kind of end goals you want to, really conquer in your life, then so be it. And again, I don't look at it as a point of weakness at all.
Right. It's something that I do. I do it every so often. Now it's more frequent just because we're in the winter time and I like to just monitor myself. And I mean, my therapist, I've had her for the past, almost 3 years now. And she's always given me great tips, great advice, gives me that assurance when I need it, always pushes me to make those tough decisions when I need to. But I mean, overall, it's definitely helped me. And I think it's something that people should do if they feel like they need to talk to somebody.
Yeah, again, if you need it, then don't hold back.
Yeah.
Don't hold back. I've always contemplated actually getting a therapist, even though, I've never dealt with depression or anything like that. But you don't have to be depressed to go to a therapist.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just good to just get your thoughts out like we're doing now and just talk with someone about how you're feeling.
Yeah, just to have a space, a healthy space to just get off your chest what's on your mind and just talk.
I think now more than ever, people are starting to realize the power of your mental state. And I think it's because a lot of people are losing their mental state because of quarantine, isolation, COVID, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, I mean, therapists they gotta be great for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I know my therapist, she put me on to taking vitamins, so now I've been
nice.
I've been taking vitamins for like a good solid month now, and that's definitely improved me.
Oh, really? I take vitamins when I'm at home, but I never looked at it that way.
Yeah, so I got the nature-made vitamins. I take vitamin C, vitamin D, and I take fish oil.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, I take that twice a day.
Okay.
I don't think it's tough to do it on the weekends because I forget, because usually the weekends is my downtime. That's when I'm like resting and I'm not doing my school or work stuff. So sometimes I'll forget and then my mood will go down and it's like, why am I feeling so down? And it's like probably because I'm not taking my vitamins like I'm supposed to.
Yeah. I mean, as long as you got that schedule, then you should be good.
Yeah, exactly. But overall, man, it's been great talking with you.
Yeah.
I know my last question will come up in my head. I do these things unscripted, but hey, I always love catching up with you, man.
Yeah, it's always great.
Yeah. Last question before I go ahead and let you go. As I said, thank you once again for your time. If you could offer a piece of advice to the Zane from February 2021 when we were doing this interview, what would you say to that Zane?
Keep the momentum. Don't let the momentum go. The version you're about to embark on is just the beginning. That's what I'll say.
Gotcha.
And I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. It's hard to keep up with that momentum and, to let that go and then everything sort of crashes and goes down. But I feel like when you learn to achieve that balance of, resting but also maintaining everything that you have, it'll be much easier to, maintain it. And then from there, it's just a steady decline on up.
Right. And from there, it's just continuing to evolve. That's it.
Exactly. Well,
yes,
Zane, I had a great time catching up and talking with you. I got an hour out of you once again.
Hey, man. Always a pleasure.
That's a banger. That's a banger when I do episodes over an hour. It's a solid banger. Fire, man.
Oh, thanks for having me, Ced. Really appreciate it.
Hey, man. Yeah, thank you once again, and I know we'll be keeping in touch.
Yes, sir. Take care.
Yup. I know this wraps up the podcast. Stay blessed and stay encouraged.